This week in Jamaica Now, the DNA bombshell test reveals a Kingston pastor is the father of a child with a 14-year-old girl. Elections director resigns. He cites political interference and external pressures. Krystal Tomlinson is the new PNPYO president. Teachers back on the job after 3-day protest. INDECOM blow. Appeal court rules that the commission has no jurisdiction to arrest or prosecute cops. And
it's not only 8 minutes though, it's actually 50-something years behind it.
remembering ceramic artist Gene Pearson. I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. A Kingston pastor is to return to court on April 16 for a hearing to determine whether 5 sex-related charges against him should be tried in the Home Circuit Court. Earlier this week, a DNA test concluded that Kenneth Blake is the father of a child with a 14-year-old girl. The alleged victim gave birth to a baby boy on November 30 last year. Blake, the 56-year-old pastor of the Harvest Temple Apostolic Church, located on Slipen Road in Kingston, was arrested on August 15 last year. His attorney, Abel Donfoot, told the court on Monday that he needed time to take further instructions from his client. During the first court appearance last August, Blake insisted through his attorney that he did not impregnate the minor and voluntarily offered to give investigators DNA samples. He said it would prove that he was not the father of the unborn child. The pastor has been charged with rape, forcible abduction, grievous sexual assault, sexual touching, and sexual intercourse with a person under the age of 16 years. The charges were filed after the alleged victim gave investigators a detailed statement claiming that Blake began having sex with her at his St. Andrew home in 2015 while she was 12 years old. It is alleged that during the first encounter, the clergyman forced himself onto her after sending her older sister downtown Kingston to buy some things. Following this, according to the girl's account to investigators, he began rewarding her with gifts to keep her quiet about the sexual encounters. However, Blake had denied the allegations and insisted in court that it was part of an extortion attempt by the mother of his accuser. The Independent Commission of Investigations has been dealt a major blow after the Court of Appeal ruled that the commission cannot arrest or prosecute cops. In a 2-to-1 decision, the appeal court said INDECOM had no such power in law. The court has also quashed the conviction of Deputy Superintendent Albert Dyer. In 2014, Dyer was arrested for interfering with INDECOM investigations. Dyer was convicted in the Spanish Town Resident Magistrates Court and fined $800,000. He challenged the ruling and took the matter to the High Court. The Director of Elections, Art Fisher, this week resigned, telling his staff members that there was growing political interference in the operations of the Electoral Office of Jamaica. According to Mr. Fisher, the EOJ as it exists today is a far cry from the organization which existed 23 years ago when he joined. Fisher has decided to walk away even before a court ruling he initiated contesting his tenure. In the letter, Fisher said the aims of the case were to determine the legitimacy of his one-year appointment in the post and to highlight the growing level of political influence affecting the EOJ. A source close to Fisher said he has been complaining about a certain member of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica who has been rude and disrespectful to him. Investigators from the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, and the Financial Investigation Division have opened a major probe into a fraud racket at the Labor Ministry. This week, they raided the offices of the Labor Ministry and the homes of several people linked to the multi-million-dollar fraud being carried out by persons employed to the ministry. On Sunday, the Gleaner reported that an accounting clerk in the ministry's rehabilitation program gifted $1.7 million to her husband, mother, her 3 sisters, her 3 brothers, and a friend from the fund established to provide emergency grants to the poorest of Jamaicans. Teachers returned to work on Thursday after 3 days of protest action over wages and resumed negotiating with the government on Friday. The teachers who were protesting the government's wage offer of 16% over a 4-year period had been off the job since Monday. However, they were called back to negotiate following an emergency meeting at the Ministry of Labor on Wednesday. State Minister of Finance Ruddy Spencer says the teachers are demanding a $60,000 increase in book and software allowance in addition to a salary hike, but he says the government cannot afford it at this time. And in his first budget presentation, the opposition spokesman on finance, Mark Golding, said the government could make an improved offer to teachers if it prioritized better. Mr. Golding said the proposed increase is below the inflation rate projected by the government. Golding also accused Finance Minister Audley Shaw of hypocrisy given his pronouncement 2 years ago when the PNP was in power.
The current minister said that $1,000 a week could only buy 2 chicken and 4 pounds of rice. Well, if that was the Shaw standard then, what can $600 or $425 or worse, $320 buy today? It can't even buy 1 maga chicken.
2 days later, the opposition leader, Dr. Peter Phillips, also said the government's policies were making things harder for Jamaicans.
Prices are on a global high, with one of the companies that operates in Jamaica reporting that their profits, not their Jamaican profits, their profits are up 900%. And yet the government is planning to give them another 5 years without the levy. What kind of government is that? You know, sometimes, Mr. Speaker, it looks like macaroni running the government.
Former festival queen Krystal Tomlinson is the new president of the People's National Party youth organization, the PNPYO. Tomlinson takes over from Connolly Black. There had been concern about Black's effectiveness. According to PNP insiders, the decision to shake up the leadership was high on the agenda at an emergency meeting on Tuesday night at the party's headquarters in St. Andrew, involving members of the party's youth arm. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, remembering acclaimed ceramic artist Gene Pearson, who died on Thursday, a day after his estranged wife.
The name of it is earthenware ligony plane, and it's brick red. They call it Jamaica Clean, California. We're going upstairs now. Turn a pot for you on the first wheel that enter the planet. The potter's wheel. How much time that was? Oh well, it's not only 8 minutes though, it's actually 50-something years behind it. And this cutting wire, very important.
Why?
To cut the clay?
Okay.
Yeah. And faces are interesting to me because in traveling for a while, I used to observe faces from different corners of the planet. So, and the airport is one where I get to see all of these different faces and the different walk while I'm waiting for my plane. And for me, I would call it spirits made still. So I kind of capture the features and then the fire, put the spirit in.